So Sharanda, you showing up as George Carvalho. Well, I didn't know you was here.
Oh yeah, George sent me the link. I don't know. My calendar, I cleaned up my calendar. I guess I clicked it off, every calendar.
Oh wow. Let me see something. Let me make you.
That's the same issue I was having when my phone went down. My computer was all crazy, going, couldn't log in. It was wild.
So I'm George tonight.
Yo, George, you look good.
I'm George the third.
I get to let's just trade numbers. We'll trade numbers.
Georgie Porges, Georgie Porges.
Yeah.
I'm George too.
George too. Yep.
Ooh, 3 Georgie Porges. Oh my goodness.
I'll take all your numbers. I'll take all your
Wanda probably George too, because I sent it to Wanda.
Oh my God.
I'll give it date myself. Well, the real George.
The real George, stand up.
So the other gentleman that said he was George, with the glasses on, what's your actual name?
Gene Sarmiento.
How you spell, like Gene?
Gene. First name. Last name S like Sam. ARMIENTO.
How about I do this so I don't mess it up?
Gene S. Oh, he just put Gene. Oh, okay.
Gene, there you go.
Now, I do not want to mess your name up and have people call you the wrong thing for an hour. Yeah, that ain't gonna work out. Okay, yeah, I was looking for you. I kept putting in SH, so I could pull you in the co-host, and I was like, "Where's she at? I can't find it."
You definitely say George is representing in the house tonight.
Yeah.
Valid account.
All right, guys. So hello to everybody on YouTube as well. So I got you guys set up over there. So we're gonna be talking a little bit today about the low-hanging fruit, right? What companies, what kind of companies, what kind of vehicles you should be prospecting. That is better for you to prospect. We shouldn't say that you shouldn't prospect the other ones, but if you want, if you want a quicker conversion, I should say, and the reason why I thought it was a good topic, messaged Sharanda as well about this, is because I try to go off the day-to-day, right? Like I can always come up with something. Me and Sharanda can put something together, and I can text Sharanda and say, what should we talk about? And she'll have 1,000 ideas, and I can have 1,000 ideas, but there's nothing more important than what people need to hear. What are people asking? What kind of situations are people having? And there are people still going after construction companies. There are people still going after school bus companies and places like that. And those aren't low-hanging fruit. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we don't consider them to be low-hanging fruit, just in case there are people in here who don't know that, because I know it's people who come in and out. They're not always on this call. They may have missed it. I know we don't talk about it too heavy on the certification. So we want to make sure that people understand that there are certain size companies that if you don't have benefits experience, you shouldn't be going after. And there's certain vehicles, depending on what state you live in, that just aren't good prospects. I mean, I have literally, and this is no offense to anybody who's called me with this, I'm not talking about you particularly, but there have been people who have called me about going after rescue vehicles, fire trucks, ambulance. And I'm like, guys, they got a license to speed. Like they don't need us. Does that make sense? Like they're emergency vehicles. And I know you're thinking they have a CDL to drive a fire truck, but a plan like what we offer, when the last time have you seen a fire truck pulled over? Right? Overweight, no seatbelt, right? When the last time have you seen a fire truck going faster than the speed limit or zigzagging through traffic and you got to move over because they're coming?
Roadside inspection.
Yeah, right, roadside inspection.
Roadside inspection.
Let's stop that fire truck and make sure it's not leaking and the tires aren't bent, right? So sometimes we're so focused on CDL as a license and as an industry that we don't realize that some prospects, even though they hold a CDL and they're considered to be in the commercial industry, they still may not be the best prospect, right? And I guess the simplest way I can do it, and for those that know me well enough to know that when I train, I talk about life and relationships, right? This goes for men and women, right? If you like the opposite sex, everybody not a prospect, right? Like, right? I like women. Every single woman is not a prospect, right? So it's the same thing. Because you're in the CDL space, doesn't mean that everybody with a CDL license or anybody that's driving commercially is a best prospect for you. Are they a prospect? There's prospect in the sense that they have a CDL license or that they're driving commercially, but it may be a hard sell or maybe somebody who they aren't being hassled. And who is the best person to buy your product? A person that's going to use it the most. Your best prospect is the person that's going to use the services that you offer the most, because that's what keeps them there, is that they're using it and they feel like there's value in having a service. The only time I can say that yourself, well, I guess it's more than one time, but one of the most prominent times I can say that using your product is not really what you're looking for is when it's life insurance, right? They're not going to use that but once. But other than that, you want them to use it. You want them to use what they're buying from you or see the value in it enough that they stay holding on to it. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And we're going to also go out to some of you all to ask you all, like, who are you going after? I'm going to ask a couple of questions and have you guys, and honestly, put your numbers in the chat. Don't be acting like you're going after low-hanging fruit so we don't pull you out here on the Zoom and ask you some crazy questions. If you're going after the wrong people, let us know so that we can help you if that's the case. That's what we want to do. So Sharanda Ivy, I'm going to turn over to you so you can do your introduction, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, dokie. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sharanda Ivy here in Byron, Georgia. Been with Legal Shield now, going on 10 years. So June was 9 years. So we're about 9.5 years in. I've been with this company with 50K ring earners. We've earned over the 1,000 Production App Award, coming up on the 2,000 Production App Award. Number 2 for Small Group Open last year. Number 1 field trainer for 2019 and 2021. And, specialize in CDLP, top producer in small business, and did all that in this space as well. So I do host the accountability call on Thursday nights. And that's at 9:30 when everybody's had all their calls. And on that call, we talk about accountability. It's more like a mastermind. So if you want some accountability and you're producing in this space, we welcome you to that call for just some collaboration with other associates on what they're doing and how they are making sales in the space. So that's it for me.
Okay, hold on. I made the wrong George the co-host.
The wrong George.
George is like, co-host stuff is showing up for me.
Yeah, I'm like, they got a whole bunch of people here in the waiting room, and I'm like, huh? So let me text Robert.
So what I did was I changed George's name to Sharanda, and then went to George's name and made him a co-host. Yeah, so that's.
I appreciate that.
That's what happened. That's what happened when you drink too much coffee.
Well,
it's one thing to wake up, it's another thing to get high. Yeah, it's a difference. All right. So Robert Dunbar, been with Legal Shield 13 years, training for 7 years, 100K ring earner, 250K ring earners on my team, worked every area of the business. I don't remember my awards and accolades.
Whatever.
I don't have them up, and I don't remember what they are. I do know I have a Golden Apple Award. Well, I used to call it a Golden Apple Award. It's something else now. Whatever Sharanda called it a minute ago.
Production.
Production
Achievement.
Achievement Award. And I do have, I've gotten accolades on both sides, network marketing and business solutions and all of that different stuff. So I explored the different areas of the field, landed on CDL. And I really like business solutions because I really like the idea of marketing a product that will pay you forever. I like the idea of marketing a product that allows you to build up a book of business that will now be residual income for you, right? You do it once and it pays you over and over again. I love that idea with the business solution space. So that's where we at, guys. So we're gonna move right into our topic, and I guess we can go out first and just find out from people.
Can we address the question in the box first?
Oh yeah, there's a question up there. Where is it? Did you know what it is?
Dan Nix asked, the weekly business solution overview had new commissions for CDL, but didn't have for the $29.95. Is there new commissions? Can I ask you, Dan, did you open it and read it?
Yes, I did. On the other, they had the super, and then they had $39.95 twice. And then they had a question and answer fact sheet on the commissions.
No, that's not what I asked. I asked, did you open the link of the CDL links? Did you open them to read them?
Yes.
And you
But
didn't.
But they didn't have a one for group.
Okay, so have you been plugged in this weekend to the announcements?
I was plugged in Friday and Saturday on a bunch
Right.
of.
Okay, so they talked about the qualification for executive director and senior director starting October 1 would be reduced back down to 700, right? For
Yes.
senior director and 1,400 for ED, right?
Right.
So when you look at the flyer, it talks about the qualifications of each level. And so the update of the flyer is that they updated the commission, they updated the amount of premium you need, which was announced this weekend. So that's the update. That's why I asked you, did you actually read it?
Yes, I listened to it again before this, but is there still $29.95 group rate?
It's still the group that didn't change. What the update is the amount of premium that you have to do to get to those qualifications. That's the update on the sheet. Nothing else changed.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing else changed. The sheet just updated. If you look at the sheet, it just updated the explanation of the qualification of how much you have to do for those qualifications. That's what the update was. The money didn't change. Yeah, the money didn't change. It's just the qualifications to get to that. How I know is because I pulled up the one that was in the back office prior to October 1, which was updated July 1. And that's the only difference in the two.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
Sharanda, there's been no change in the CDL pricing or what they pay us out at all?
No,
Okay.
no, the update. So he's talking, so in the weekly business solution weekly newsletter, they have an update of the commissions for all the networking plans for CDL on the CDL side. So when you compare it, the money is not the money isn't, it didn't change. What changed was they updated how you earn the qualifications by writing these plans.
Got
You know what I'm saying? So like, and then how in the in each category they have a paragraph that explains how do you qualify for that particular position. So they updated that. And we've had the elite and, the ones that are just personal basic, meaning that you're not Performance Club qualified. And so you get paid different if you're not Performance Club qualified.
Gotcha. Okay, good stuff. So hopefully that answer was helpful to more than just Dan, because I'm sure there's somebody else who may have looked and been confused on something. So it's important when somebody asks a question, doesn't matter who it is, that like don't walk away from your computer because it's just a question, because the answer might benefit you as well. So it's important to stay tuned in for that. So who can mention the types of vehicles? So what types of vehicles are you guys prospecting? If you can throw that in the chat. So if it's tow trucks, throw it in the chat. If it's 18-wheelers, if it's hot shots, if it's construction companies or dump trucks or any of that, put it in the chat, just so we have an idea of what people are prospecting, what kind of vehicles people are prospecting. Because when we do the CDLP certification training, we show you guys all types of vehicles. And you'll hear sometimes mention or say this is the type of vehicle, but then we'll say that's not the hottest prospect. We're just showing you the types of vehicles because you need to know that a person that is getting in and out of that vehicle is somebody that could use the plan, but that still does not necessarily mean that that's the best person for the plan, if that makes sense. We want to be so that's why we asking this question. A lot of 18-wheelers, a lot of seasoned people too saying 18-wheelers. So I already know they already know. Let me see, 18-wheeler. Okay, good. 18-wheelers. Carrier trucks. All right. Hello, everyone. I've only been looking at the violations and payout. Okay, we'll see what you mean by that, Vanessa, in a second. 18-wheelers, straight trucks in 18-wheelers, everything with the US DOT and MC number. Appreciate your honesty. 18-wheelers, owner operators. Owner operators, good. That's good, Jerry. All right, so most of you all got it. 18-wheelers is really what you should be going after now. And before I address some of the other answers that we got in there, another question is, what size companies are you going after? Because it's one thing to go after 18-wheelers, another thing to go after 18-wheelers, and there's 2,000 vehicles with the company, right? So what size companies are you guys going after as well? 1 to 10, Allison, good stuff. Vehicles with DOT number, James Hicks, Dan. Minute five drivers max 100. Good. Adrian Bond, carrier trucks, owner operators. 5+, George. Jean, less than 20 drivers. Jackie, 1 to 10. Veronica, 1 to 15. Layla, 1 to 5. Jaree, 1 and 2. 1 truck, 1 driver, 1 truck, 2 drivers. Under 100. Al Tim, Rosie, 1 to 10. All right, so, all right. We got some big numbers there, and then some that's Barbara Smith, 0 to 1 owner operator to 5 drivers. Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's go up here. The first thing I wanted to address. So Vanessa Harris, if you can, if it's possible for you to unmute yourself, you put it here. Hello, everyone. I've only been looking at the violation percentage and payout. Can you unmute yourself or cut the camera on, whatever you got going on over there?
Yes, sir. I unmuted. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I just look at the their safer score. Okay. And then pull companies from that website that shows the amount that they paid in violations, like for a particular year.
Let me get you moved pinned to the first screen right quick so I can get you add pin to the first screen and add pin to the first screen. All right, there we go. Okay, so you're not, so the type of vehicles that the company have and the amount of drivers that they have, are you saying that you're not focusing on that?
Not the type, but the drivers, yeah, I would say the drivers typically have been less than 20. Yeah, I may have seen, I really don't go higher than that.
Gotcha. And is there any particular reason why when you're going after companies, you don't care what kind of vehicles they're in? Is there a reason why you don't look at that?
I guess I've missed it. Is there a way to I guess like do a search and then revise that search to specific trucks on the Safer website or that violation website?
That's a good question. Sharanda, you look like you got something to say. Sharanda has something to say, Dace.
Do tell.
No, I don't think you can do it by the type of vehicle. But yeah, you can see the vehicles, but she's actually, and you can correct me, Ms. Vanessa, but she's actually saying she starts with the violation page, and that's how she goes and research her companies.
Right.
So she is just going to the violation page and, pulling the DOT number from there. And then she goes over and research on Safer. That's how she's getting her prospects.
Or vice versa, Safer than the violation, either way. If their score is, higher than the national average, that's what I've been doing.
Well, can I give you a hint on that?
Absolutely.
If you go into the violation page, they're going to be high. That's why they got audited. That violation page is for individuals who have had some type of compliance review or audit. So they're going to have high numbers.
Okay, right. Makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. And so it's best to stay with that process, go from violation page to Safer page, just to kind of, if you want to go a little deeper into the results or violations, whatever they got.
Well, for me, personally, yes. So the violation page lets you know that, so they have violations because they've been audited. And they've been fined, and they're going to have high numbers. That's why they got audited.
Mm-hmm.
When you go, so I guess the question for me to know with you is, with that process, what has been your success?
We just had a no-show the other day, didn't we, Mr. Dunbar?
We did. We did.
And his score was like 50%. And in speaking with him, he had already told me that he's been using a consultant for like 2 years. And I, what you all been saying, well, we're only reaching out to you because we thought we could help. Your information or your company came across my desk. I'm using that approach now. And that's what I was saying to him when I booked the appointment. And I was just curious to know how long he had been using the consultant. And then I asked if the consultant actually went to court to represent them in court. And he's like, yeah, really? Oh, okay. And so I was just asking if he would be open just to find out a little bit more about, what we do as far as with our program. And he agreed to it. But of course, not of course, unfortunately, he was a no-show.
Okay, I get it. And so just FYI, when it comes to those individuals that you're prospecting on that page. So 9 times out of 10, because they've already been fined, 9 times out of 10, they seek service. Not that the service is working, but they seek service.
Okay.
So with that, a lot of times, and it's all about that trust issue, especially in this industry. The first person who connects is the person they trust. So just like he told you he's had a consultant for 2 years, you know that just by knowing that he got fined, you know, his numbers are still high, or they're gonna be high,
Right.
that the consultant probably didn't do the job, right? They didn't do what he needed them to do for him not to get an audit, him not to get fined. So you know that just by the education, right?
Right.
But see, he's dealt with them for 2 years.
Okay.
And you cold called him as a stranger. So no matter, and he could have been busy. Don't ever doubt that.
Right. That's why I just
Busy, and that he just didn't pick up that day. You follow up and reschedule him, and it goes well. It could go that way.
okay.
So I'm not knocking that it won't pan out to anything, because you know he could have just been busy.
Right.
I just want the people who are listening, because you know that website is promoted, but it's promoted without explanation.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the explanation, the point of it is you have to know this going in. They've had an audit because their numbers are high.
Okay.
And if they didn't have anyone prior to the audit, they found someone in the process to help them either through the audit or to correct the things that were going on that were found in the audit. And then two, whoever they found them before you called. Okay. And so with that being said, a lot of times, if we can have that conversation with them, like you said, you asked, did they go to court with you? It is some consultant companies out there that have attorneys connected to them as well. You know, they have the consultant piece and then they have the attorney piece. So you did the right thing by asking those questions. Now he said, yeah, so he might have had one of those companies like CDL Consultants. For example, they have attorneys, access to attorneys as well. But the thing about it is we have to be mindful with that site is that they've already went through an audit or a compliance review. They've been fined. And normally when they've been fined, the case is closed. They had to correct whatever needed to be done or put processes in place. And so a lot of times they go out and get consultants who they think will help them. Now, you know that we know that, you know, for those violations going forward, having a plan like ours would benefit. Now, him with a consultant for 2 years and he still was in an audit, that lets you know that the consultant just didn't help him in the way that they should have.
Okay.
So just know that.
Thanks for that clarification. I appreciate that. And I actually did have one owner he just expressed that he was that as you mentioned about that trust issue, he said, I just really don't know who to trust.
Right. Because
And that's
consultants come in and they make these false promises that, oh, we can help you with those violations and we'll monitor them and we'll do this to your violations, but nobody is going to court to fight them like we know our plan could help them do that. And so when those individuals don't really understand the industry themselves, and this person comes along because they know that something is wrong, because it's not just us calling them, everybody is calling. I had one of my carriers just ask me an hour ago about his numbers, you know, because he got a call and what the lady told him was false. But we have to know that we're not the only people out there cold calling. You know, you have people cold calling on the phone. They get 1,000 emails a day from people soliciting services. So you got to know that we're not the only ones out there, you know, prospecting them for services.
And the only ones looking at their scores and looking at their violations.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Thanks, Miss Ivy.
No problem.
And Sharanda, somebody asked, what site were you talking about? What particular site are you saying? Were they saying?
I'm like, they haven't been to a training lately because
That's-
John Hoffman just trained on that last month. Right, John?
There's Randall.
Right, John?
That's right.
And
Hold
John
on.
thoroughly trained on that last month. And about 6 months ago, he did that as well.
Hey, Gwendolyn Prince, unmute yourself.
She said she missed that one.
Yes, sir.
There you go. All right, there you go. So Gwendolyn Prince, because
Yes,
we're gonna put you out there now. I'm like, I always give people a chance to let us know what's really going on. So
Okay.
you asked that question, so I'm pulling you up because you're saying what site? So have you not seen the third annual or the fourth annual? How long have you been with us? Have you been on the weekly calls? Like where you at?
I've been here just about every Monday for probably 3 years at least. Well,
Okay.
wait a minute now. I typically go to the safer using the DOT number, the violation page. I'm just, for some reason, I might have seen it, but right now it's not ringing a bell.
Did you see the training with John, Miss Prince?
I missed John's training.
Not the
I've done
CDLP training, the one Dunbar talking about, the fourth annual, third
Yeah, I'm
annual.
talking about not the certification training he did last year.
Oh, yes, I
He was
did.
the fourth annual.
I did. Okay, it's just not coming to mind. I can go back and review it. Yep.
Gotcha. And also for everybody on the language side, because I know that sometimes we say go to the FMCSA page or we go whatever. So some people may mistake that for, like, even when we say research the company, somebody might hear research the company and somebody might hear safer and think that those are two different places, and they're not. We may not say safer, but that's when we're saying pull up the trucking company and do research, we're talking about safer. So it's the same place that you know of. We're just not saying the word safer at that time. Just like the FMCSA page where we get the violations from, where we go to safer and then we pull up the trucking company's violations. Like they were just talking about the violations page. We don't always call it that, but that's the FMCSA page. That's the page that they cover, that we cover every third and fourth annual, and periodically we cover it on a Monday night too. But yeah. So
when Ms. Ivy was saying, well, they always have the high numbers. If you're on the violations page, then that's where I was confused, because sometimes it's in the FMCSA, sometimes they're high, sometimes they're not.
No, the page that Miss Harris, Miss Vanessa is talking about is the enforcement case page. Safer and the enforcement case page, all of that is under FMCSA, like Dunbar said. Most of the time when you research safer, we normally just put in safer, but it's a part of FMCSA as well. But the page Miss Vanessa is talking about is another part of FMCSA where John trains on the enforcement cases where the client has already went through an audit and got fined. And that's then closed and does the enforcement cases on the AI page from the FMCSA.
Okay, thank you.
So, and this is what I would tell you too, Gwendolyn, it's a little bit different in this space because, if you're just in a regular group space, if you're going to prospect the company doesn't matter, because you're offering the same membership. I'm talking about if you're offering just a legal and identity theft plan, right? The size of the company might make a difference, but when you're going in there to pitch Legal Shield, you just pitch a Legal Shield to the HR rep in the hopes that they see the value and their employees have it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
In this, if we give you the link that they're talking about, you're not going to know how to use it. Okay. That's why it's important to go back and listen to what John was saying about it on the 4th, because that will show you how he's using it, which is going to make a difference. That's what makes this space so much different, is because as a matter of fact, somebody called me earlier today and they was asking me CDL stuff. And I was like, can I call you? And the guy said, yeah. And I called him. And I said, the reason why I don't want to answer your questions is because I'm just going to make you dangerous. Because if you don't understand anything about CDL, if I just answer your direct questions and then send you on your way, you're not going to know how to use that information. I'm like, do you get on the calls, the CDL call? No, I don't get on those calls. I just happen to have a CDL trucking company that I'm prospecting because I was knocking on doors of one of the companies that ended up being a trucking company. I understand that. But this is a whole different world. So if I just tell you this is what this means, you walking in after having a 10-minute conversation with me is probably going to do more harm than it is good, because you have to understand the industry. So that's why it's important. And now you'll start to piece things together. So now that you're hearing that, right, which is what these calls do. So now you just heard what Vanessa said. Now you're putting it together with, okay, that's not the regular FMCSA. That's a special area where it's just people who've been violated. Now you go back and listen to John's deal. Now you picked up that nugget. Does that make sense?
Yes,
you picked up that nugget that you may have missed before, that there's a special place that you can go where people have absolutely been violated. And now you can look at that and say, okay, let me look at what John said about that, because maybe that's a good approach for me.
Okay, thank you.
So that's why I think you could pick up on something on that right there. So
Okay,
that's why it's good to throw your questions in there. That way we can pull you up here and get it. We might beat you up a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're gonna come out better on the other end.
I figured get beat up and learn. Thank you.
Good stuff.
But the thing to understand, like, so you got to know that those people on that page, all of them got bad numbers. But you got to know that they've been through an audit or a compliance review. They've been fined. So you got to know how to show the value proposition of our services, because like I say, a lot of them already have seek service. And we know that if they don't have one, like a plan like ours, going forward, they're probably going to still be in the same predicament, right? They still going to continue to get the violations. So it's a different conversation than researching, companies that haven't yet got to that. Because you can say we offer this, and 9 times out of 10, they may have a consultant and they know that they have bad numbers. But if you talk more, if you can show the value proposition of what we're offering on that side, you may close more on that type of client versus the client that already has been fined, because you may not be at the point where you're able to show the value proposition after they've had the audit. Because you got to know, if they've had the review and the audit, most of the time they seek services from somebody. And, I tell you, it's a trust issue. They really not open to a lot of things coming at them because they already paid that money, right?
Right.
So you got to just remember that if you're going to play in that page, because it'll be a kind of like a harder sell if you're not well versed in showing the value proposition of what we're offering to help them going forward, since they're already in a bad place, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Did I say that right, John?
Sure did, Randall. Yes, ma'am.
You gotta get John's approval.
Yeah, and I'll have that training in about 6 more months again. Yes.
Yep. About 6 more months, he'll do it again. But but if you feel you're there, that's a site. Yeah. But it's gonna be truly, if you're not well versed, it will be a harder sell on that side, even though they bad. They don't pay that money.
Okay. May I ask another quick
value proposition of our services, huh?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand that. I had another quick question, please.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, when I'm looking at companies with just the one driver, which I guess is the owner, they haven't had hardly any inspections, so the numbers are always low. So I'm assuming that we just overlook them, or is there a way to approach them? I know Ms. Ivy does a lot of the business from the business side with them, but For me,
Most
I'm
likely
thinking,
that
okay,
company is new, Ms. Prince. Not the fact, not necessarily it's just one, owner operator. It's not necessarily that. Most
Okay.
likely it's that they probably are a new company. Their authority is out,
Okay.
oh,
Thank you.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we got Yolanda, and Jerry, we're gonna get to your question. I see your hand up too. We got Yolanda who said that she goes after anything with a DOT number or MC number. So Yolanda, if you are available, are you available?
Yes, I am.
Okay, where you at? Here, let me get you pull it up here.
I am.
Okay, there you go. All right, so you going after it. If it got a DOT number or MC number, you going after it. So tell tell us why the type of vehicle.
I was working on building my list,
Okay.
right? And being that I have so many truckers around, I wanted to get a list up, and the ones that I seen that had the numbers on it, as I'm picking up my grants, I just screenshot the number, and when I get back, I start researching them.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot. I'm open to hear your piece.
Well, I'm gonna give you a sales tip real quick, and then I'm gonna turn it over because you got John and Sharanda here, and the sales tip for me is you want to prospect who you plan on closing, right? You don't want to list the prospects that aren't good prospects. So be careful when you're writing down any company that you're not writing down a company and then finding out. I think we talked about this maybe a week or two ago. Sharanda brought this.
Not the big fleets. I know not the big names. I'm not going after those, but I can tell the difference in that,
So how do you know though when that so if you're like you said, you're moving around, you see a truck, boom, you snap the MC or the DOT number, right? Mm-hmm. You snap that company. How do you know whether it's a big or small company before you do the research?
Well, I narrow it down from the big companies I know, like Frito-Lay's, Brinks, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Well-known names. I know that they big companies. I know that they out of my hand. I know that they franchises. So smaller companies, I'll take my chance and snap it because there's a lot of trucks out by my kids' school, by my grandkids' school.
Gotcha.
So that's how I just do it because I'm passing my bottom. I might as well and get home and check them out. Okay.
So when you pull them up, I would first, like you said, pull up how many vehicles they have so that you don't waste your research time. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Like pull it. So if you snap it, boom, put it in safer. If they got, 2,600 trucks, you're right. I would just, take it off and then put the next one in DOT, right? So that way you're not starting to look at information and then realizing that what they're doing is not really what you're not looking for them as a prospect.
Right.
Yeah, I would say so. That would be my tip. So Sharanda and John may have some other things that they want to mention to you about the way you're doing it too as well. Because I know John, he researches from the inside. Like he researches by going to the research site. So I don't know what he's going to say in Sharanda. So I'm going to turn over to Sharanda and see what Sharanda has on it.
I'll turn over to John first. John can go first.
Okay, what I'm finding right now is when I do my race, when I pull the company's score, the report, you're going to see they got tickets on their report. And if you don't see anything on there that shows that they've had any challenges on their CSA scores, like any positive outcomes in court, which happens 99% of the time. Occasionally, you will see a company that does have some of those mentions on their report. But that's what I'm going to the company now with. I'm going in, I'm saying, I can see you're not challenging your CSA scores because it's not in your report. That's one of the services that we can offer to you with a commercial driver legal plan with your drivers. And I actually bring in a sample of what that looks like because I found a trucking company that has about 40 positive results on their report, and it's really eye-opening when they see that. I said, this is what your report could look like. If your drivers had our membership, it'll show where they have a lot of these heavy speeding tickets, 15 miles an hour or more, so that 10 points are down to 1 point. Mm-hmm. And I'll give them that then as an example. So that's what I'm hitting trucking companies now with is I look at their report. If they don't have any positive outcomes in court, then that's my opening statement. I go in and I'll say, we help companies like yours with their CSA scores. Are you on your data queue system challenging your CSA scores? And they'll give you a blank look like, I didn't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And that's when you start creating the relationship, because I have something to hand them. It's like a little 3-page thing that I hand them about challenging CSA scores, and tell them that that's one of the services we offer. And so that's what I'm going in with now. And actually today I opened up a group of 16 drivers because of that. He got fined and he had no idea what I was talking about.
Mm.
So it's just you really have to educate your potential clients if they're willing to be educated. There are some clients that aren't willing to be educated. If you find a company that doesn't have any violations, like Sharina said, they're probably just too brand new. They'll get them eventually. They all do. So they just have to wait for them to catch up, and then that's another conversation. You might say, do you have anything in place for when that happens? Because right now your score is claimed. What are you going to do to keep it that way? Do you have anything in place to keep it that way? So you'll have 3 or 4 different elevator speeches depending on what you're looking at on their company safety score.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Miss Prince, did you get that?
I did. Thank you.
Yep. I mean, if you're not postured up to talk what he just said when they're that new, save it. Give them 6 months. I promise you. Yeah, they'll have some out there. And so, but like he said, he just told you what to say if you wanted to talk to them without any violations, because most likely every driver has driven for somebody. You find a few that will go out and get their authority when they first get their license, but for most of them, they've drove for somebody and they know what they are, So yeah, John just gave you an elevator speech for those new authorities or those clean authorities.
Stuff.
And
Thank you.
Oh,
wait a minute, Dumbo, you got, so Dan Nix asked, where do you find the challenges? So Dan, you've never researched the company and saw where they said to a lesser charge, change to a less, you've never found a company like that?
I've researched, but I've never I don't recall running across that where they've challenged.
Yeah, so we showed that during the 4th annual. I think I pulled up CRETE, CRETE. If you pull up CRETE, I know that one. You can look at it and it tells you where it was changed to a lesser charge. That's what John is talking about. He just got a company that has, he said, about 40 on there for his particular company that he uses. But yeah, but if you go out to CRETE, it'll show you that up in the summary. It'll show you that at the top. Is that called the summary? That's the summary at the top, right? What is it called at the top? Is it a summary?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
When they have the whole list at the first, it'll tell you. Well, it'll tell you at the bottom too, but it'll say change to a lesser charge.
Okay.
But
if I can share a screen, I'll show the one that I use if they want to see it.
Okay.
You should be able to because you're a co-host, John.
Okay, let me pull it up here. All right, so here's this company, and I black out their information. Okay, so some is private information, but if you scroll down here, and I actually have highlighted. So here's a seat belt, change to a different charge. There was one of those violations. Here's one for lane restriction violation. There were 4 of those violations. Here's one of to maintain the lane, 2 violations changed. Here's one of speeding, 3 violations. Here's one with 2 violations, another speeding. Here's a 15-mile-an-hour one.
Mm-hmm.
Here with it looks like it's 8 violations of that.
Mm.
You know, so this company had a lot of success. You know, so I showed that to him. I said, this is what our plan does. You know, this is what your score could look like if you encourage your drivers to get our service, and when they get a ticket, use it. Imagine what that would do to your insurance cost if you could reduce some of those. Imagine, you know, what impact that would have on your company financially, just by having your drivers get something for $1 a day.
So
So
they
you-
probably had an attorney when they got those reduced.
Most likely, I'm sure the driver didn't go to court themselves.
Right.
And all those, yeah.
I had never seen one of those before.
Mhm. Well, you do enough research, you'll come across them.
Exactly. I was gonna say the same thing. You do enough research, you will.
So Susan Alley said, how do we find this page?
How do you find what?
How do we find this page?
That's not a page, that's a company.
That's a company.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
company.
I can put that on I can share that with you, Robbie, put it on the Facebook page if you want, and they can take it out. It's actually a company in Ohio that I came
Okay.
across.
But you see how he he blacked out the name and stuff, because a lot of y'all like to give up paperwork. You like to give stuff. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So is there a way, John, for you to go to wherever you go? Because I'm thinking that some of the people want to see where you're going into the research to see that. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what people are trying to figure out? Yes, no? Yes, I'm seeing heads say yes, they're trying to figure out when you
Where did he go? Where to figure out what? It's
Like-
just researching a company. He just pulled up a company and it had all those violations.
It's just the
It's
just the SMS report.
Huh?
It's just the SMS report.
It's just the
That's-
SMS report in a print view.
Right, but some people, when they're not computer savvy, they don't understand that. They don't know what that is.
Well, they're
But
not
we know what
researching. You
that
say
is, but they
you're not
don't.
researching? So,
Huh?
Carmen, you're not researching since you said, yeah, Carmen? Carmen, you've researched before, right? You know how to go to the SMS page?
I'm just agreeing with Mr. Dunbar. Some people need to see things, and it's okay to be redundant.
No, I'm just saying, it's just the SMS page in a print version. Like,
But what
every
I'm
company's
saying
not gonna have that.
Right, but if
That's what I'm
someone has.
saying. Go ahead. I mean, like, I don't know what they're
All right.
asking
So
for.
the reason why I'm saying that is because like I understand that, and I know some people because I got some relationship with some of these people. But some I know, if I say go to a screen and print screen, they're gone. They don't even know what print screen even means. Some people just don't know what that means. So you really got to break that down for some people, like that's really just a regular research page that you just right clicked. Like some people have to actually see that, because if they don't see it, they think it like there's somewhere special that they've never been before. So that's where I'm going with that. So if John pulls up, John, do you have a company that you can pull up and show that, or do you not know one offhand and you don't want to take the time to do that right now?
The actual company itself.
I mean, I don't know if you want to show your company. That's what I'm saying. You may not want to show your company. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to put no information out there that you're not comfortable putting out there. I'm just talking about in the sense where is there one you can pull up that you don't mind pulling up? It's private information that you don't want people to see.
Pull up Crete.
Huh?
Crete has one that shows that. Crete. John, pull up Crete. CRETE.
Okay, let me find it real quick.
Yeah, they have that on there, Dunbar. We used it in the 4th annual training.
So when John pull this up, now y'all watching him do this right here. Now, when you go back and watch the 4th annual, it may make more sense to you all to look at it and know, okay, this is what John was doing when he did this. Does that make sense to everybody? That way you can really understand kind of what you're doing, because you really got to understand that. I think it's key what Sharanda is saying when she's saying you gotta, now that you understand, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm seeing. Well, you gotta now know that they've already paid, they're already looked for somebody to help them. They're already in that process or have somebody. So you're calling now, you're asking, hey, do you need help? And they've already found help. So you have to know how to address that approach now.
But
I'll
this,
actually,
this,
I'm gonna put one up that I'll show you what I use it for that did not get any of those violations reduced. So you can see what that looks like.
but this also, Dunbar. So some of these companies, when you're researching, they have those, change to a lesser charge.
Mhm.
It doesn't always mean that the whole company has a program.
Correct.
It could be one driver took he cared enough about his license to go get an attorney, and they went through the whole process, because we have to know that they could have our plan, but if nobody at the company or that driver, or they don't pay Riggs and Abney the data queue, that won't happen that he just showed.
So
So if I just so I hope that the associates on the screen know that.
So what you're saying is, when I go research a company and I see that there's a specific driver that got a specific violation who challenged it and it ended up coming in lower, that could mean that particular driver has their own plan, that there is no plan for the company or no consultant that did that for them. That driver just found somebody on their own.
Yeah, a lot of drivers, just like, I don't know if y'all ever, when you get a speeding ticket, how you're solicited, how people send you postcards, they get those too. Or they call back to the county and look for them attorney in that area themselves. But because you might find a company that knows how to do data queue but doesn't have a program in place. So they're trying to data queue these violations without success, because the first part isn't being done, because nobody is going to court to get that violation changed. But the company does know about data queue, and they're trying to do data queue, but they may have a driver that says, you know what, I'm going to pay for my own attorney. They paid for their own attorney. The attorney did what they needed to do. They brought the paperwork back to the company, and the company data queued it for them, or somebody did. But all that has to be done for that to show up on that paperwork right there.
Absolutely. So John, what do you have? What are we looking at here?
All right, well, this is a company I came across, and you see the scores aren't bad, but when you scroll down to their violations, and I highlight, this is what I walk in with, I highlight them for them. I want them to stand out, and I say, these are all things that if your driver had our service, we could have had a positive outcome in court for you to get that reduced. And I'll bring out that other sheet to show them what that looks like with that other company that I showed previously. So they can see all their violations, and the ones that are out of service, I go to an extra highlighter there to say, that was an out of service, which is bad. And that's what I show them. It's not like you're not shaming them or rubbing their face in it. You're just saying, this is what everybody sees. This is what I see. And they even go down to accidents, and I highlight injuries and, and tows, and if they got any fatalities. And just, I leave it with them. I leave this with them. And I'll say, we can go in with there and challenge your CSA scores, and it'll be on here. You'll see those changes, but it'll also be on here too, which is why I showed you on the last page where it'll show it was changed to a different, and how many violations they got. So that's what you do with your research. When you dig into the research and find the company. So this company has good scores, it's below the national average. He's thinking he's going to be okay, but I'm sure his insurance has taken a hit from all these unsafe driving violations.
Yep, for sure.
Makes sense. All right. Well, hopefully that was helpful for those who couldn't follow that. So now I will still suggest going back to the 4th annual and just replaying that, looking at that, and seeing that now what you're looking at on the 4th annual makes more sense now that you just kind of got another view at that, where it's just a focus view, right? Because when you're on the 4th annual, I think that was 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that, 3 hours. It's a lot of information, and sometimes you got to go back and look at it in chunks. That's why we keep suggesting that you all go back, because looking at it one time is not going to do a whole bunch for you, right? It's like going to certification once, and then 10 years later you say, I'm still doing CDLP, but I took it, I took CDLP training in 2010 to 2022. You need to refresh from it, so that you understand what's happening now, and so that you continue to get to learn because you're processed the old stuff, and now it's like I'm looking at it again. I'm processing more, It's just a learning curve. So, Jaree, I don't want to forget about you. So if you can unmute yourself, I know you had a question at one time. I told you I was gonna let you get it, but then we ended up going into the other stuff. John, thanks for that screenshot. I mean, sharing your screen.
Yeah, I mean, the companies that I kind of go after are, just from the train and the onesies and the twosies. But, I try to do some research because I got to be confident to a certain whether I'm going to have to say this, I need to know to help my own knowledge. So when I look at the ones and two, the onesies and twosies, meaning one truck, one driver, or one driver, two drivers, one truck, but I look at the details. I mean, I want to go on because if they have a clean record, I don't see anything. They may be on my list, but they're not up at the top of my list. They're at the bottom of my list. I'm going after one that I can see they had violations, they had inspection. When you click on the hyperlinks in Safer, that's where I've learned a lot. I got a whole chart that tells me about level 1, 2, 3, just in case. I got to be a little bit more confident. I want to know what that level inspection that means. What does it mean? What does level 3 mean? So, just so that I'm prepared when I call, just in case, I can say, how about that violation August the 21st, back in whatever the state was, I know it was a level 3. You follow me? Well, yeah, but my problem is I can do all that on my list. I can only get to second base. I'm not able to get past second base. They'll listen to me. Sometimes they kind of go ghost, they'll yes, like when I call and I know, that they're not sure who I am. So yep, there's this trust, who are you? Of course I tell them who I am, but I just seem like I can't, I can talk, but I just can't close it. If you follow me, I can't.
So what's second base to you? When you saying you get to second base, I mean, so
I'm saying second base.
Saying that. So once you tell them, once you let them know that you understand what they're going through, what are you doing next from there? Like, where are you trying to get to from there that you haven't been able to get to?
Well, sometimes they'll say, well, listen, can you call me back? And I do. Sometimes they don't answer, but I just feel like, I'm not, I don't know. I just feel like I'm just not able to get them past that, I don't know.
And it could be different things.
Plugging away.
It could be different things. So Sharanda and John, because obviously y'all both getting, y'all getting in there, y'all getting the deal closed, y'all opening up the group. John just opened up a group today. So what do y'all feel like is missing here? Once she has that conversation with them about what their issues are.
So with so the ones and twos, because I think Jaree, you started a little higher, right? You were researching a little higher, right?
Yeah, but then I have refined my persona. I've refined what am I really looking for? So I'm looking for, maybe owner operator, so that I don't have to deal with an HR department or safety officer. Here's the man. What I mean?
Well, the thing with that is, and it's some people on here that went through that. A lot of them on here. A lot of the people on the accountability call. I personally only suggest, like the onesie twosies for you to get the posture, to get the conversations. That's where you can mess it up at, right? I mean, you can call whoever, and that's for anybody. You can call a 20-man group if you want to. You can, if you postured up, you can do that. Or even a 5, see one with 5. I always advise people who are just getting in the space to start with the small guys, because for one, I wouldn't do it a one and done. Like, if they tell you to call back and they don't pick up that time, it could be they truly are busy. It's all they, as they say, they all they got. So, it may be a time where you have to call back more than one time. That's where you start to fill your pipeline up. And believe it or not, sometimes you will catch them. You know, you just put them in, you create a system. I would advise you to create a system for yourself on when you're going to follow up. And, you know, maybe send them something. And it doesn't have to be email, because a lot of them don't have time, especially if they're onesie twosies, you know, to be looking at, they're going to just stroll through the email to what they think is important. And if your subject line isn't catchy, they're not going to open it, right? And so therefore, you may just have to text them something. You know, you can send them something through text. You know, you can send a document through text. You know, just text them, hey, this is Jeree. I just was checking in with you. Just wanted to follow up with you. A lot of times they think you're DOT. That's why you can feel them stop. You can feel them stop breathing on you, right? You just feel them. They just held their breath.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, you just break the ice with them. And you know, I only talk, like I always say, I only talk about what I went through, you know, and that's what I went through. I learned to build relationships. Yeah, the process, maybe I had to fill my pipeline up more than most, because that's just was comfortable for me. Because we start to learn together, because they don't know a lot, right? But if I could bring them valuable information, I just gain a friend, a referral partner, because he's gonna or she's gonna refer people to me, even to the point where I made sales to people they referred and they didn't even have my service. It was that type of thing. So I had to go through more people.
Okay.
And that's just how it was. It still is that way. I still don't go after 200-300 man groups. I just don't. I stay as low as I can, because I know I can close them quicker. You know? So what I can say to you, I mean, like, I close groups for individuals all the time. I have a system, and these people, they make the appointment, they take them through the process, and they get to the place where they can't close them, and then I close them for them. You know, but I will tell you, I did have to go through a lot of people to fill my pipeline, and I don't count those people out. I tell people that I field train all the time, they're busy, and that's what you got to tell your mind. It's not that they're ghosting me, they're busy. I just in my heart, I feel that they're busy, and that's what I'm going to stick with. And I'm going to continue to follow up with them until I just can't follow up with them. One day they're going to call you back out of the blue. And people know too that I field train. If I talk to somebody, I save their name in my phone, because they're going to call me back. And when they call me back, I'm going to answer the phone, hey, Jeree. And they're going to be like, whoa, like, you know, how she know that? But I just wow them, and I made the connection just like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what I can say to you, you know, just send them some things, you know, just because we call as a consultant, send them stuff, send them informational stuff. And, you know, it'll pan out, but you're going to have to keep your pipeline full if you're going to stay in that space.
Okay.
That's just been my experience.
Thank you.
And you're going through the activity. That's all you can control. Don't worry about the results. It'll come. You just continue to do the activity. And for you, with the level 1, 2, 3 and stuff, if that builds your confidence to make that call, you continue to do that. Okay. I promise you, because if you're going to use it in the call, it'll be worthwhile. It's for the associate that do all that research and then call the people and don't say nothing about that stuff they research. That's the person who's wasting their time. But if you're going to use what you're doing and that builds your posture, you continue to do that. It goes a long way.
And there's a lot, and I know I don't want to take up a lot of time, but even when you go into Safer, if you click on a hyperlink, they got a whole explanation of what that field is. So I look at that just like, oh, I didn't know what that meant. Now I know what that meant.
Just educating yourself. That's good to have better conversations with the individual on the other side that will give you the time of day to talk about that. Now you're having a conversation with the individual and they like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. It brings credibility to you. It does. So
thank you so much. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, I will just continue on. I really
That's
would.
good. Good stuff.
So, John.
I got your email too, John, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a matter of timing, Jerry. I mean, you don't know what they're going through at that time. A lot of times with the small companies like that, if you get the wife to talk to them, if they're married, and the wife, that's the one you want to talk to, because that's one that's paying the bills and, you know, seeing those tickets and you know, that's the one you want to, you know, have another kind of conversation. You know, like what's your guy doing out there? You know, are you the person in charge of making sure that his tickets are cleaned up for him? So the small companies, it's a different animal. You know, the one I signed up today was only 16 drivers, so it was an easy one for me to close. It was just a 2-visit call. But he had something unique I was going to share. I was going to ask the field trainers about this if they've heard of a service out there called Freight Guard. Have you heard of
Yes.
that? Okay.
It's a freight guard is when a broker can do a review on a company. It's in Carrier 411, so it's a bad review. It could be anything. They could be
it's
mad
like
at you.
it's like a blacklist, yes.
Yeah, it can be anything, but if you have a freight guard against you, most brokers won't do business with you. So when you call to get a load, they're gonna ask you your MC number, and they're gonna look up your safety score. They're gonna look in Carrier 411 and see if you got a freight guard, and they're gonna look and see if your insurance is pending for cancellation.
And you use that Carrier 411, they charge $99 for a service to go and get that removed.
Yeah, but just FYI for the people who hear that, Carrier 411 is only for brokers. So individuals can't get it. Nobody can get that but brokers.
So when I talked to this guy today, I said, well, if you can get a service for $99 a broker to get that removed, don't you think an attorney could do it too?
I think AJ, you need to consult with AJ, John, on that. I want to say AJ told me last year he had a company that used the business plan to fight against a freight guard. They wrote a letter he said they wrote a letter on their behalf. He had a company last year that had a freight guard, because normally, especially those small carriers, when they get them, they can't move no freight. They can't get no loads if this a small company. So I would consult with AJ. AJ said he used a small business plan for that.
Yeah, we're gonna try it. It's the first time I came across that, so I'm always learning something in this business. So that's that's the one thing about this. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And George had a question. If y'all can, he said to get what removed?
Yeah.
Get the black mark removed.
George is asking the question about to get what removed.
The freight guard, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that easy. I mean, it's not that easy. It's hard to get freight guards removed. I mean, like they say, like AJ said he did it. You have to really go through some red tape. And I mean, these people can put a freight guard on a carrier just because a broker might not like a carrier, but they do it for things like bad safety scores is one. Like maybe they had a bad safety score and they saw that they had a bad safety score and they didn't get their product there on time because they got put out of service for, you know, a safety reason. Or they could be late all the time. It could be anything, but they can do a review on a carrier and it's hard for that carrier to get it removed.
It can be for damaged freight too, and the trucker didn't even load it. You know, there was the warehouse that loaded it for them, and they get reported.
They blame it on the carrier,
and they don't have any way to rebut it. You know, so that's when we come into play, is we can give them at least an attorney to try and rebut it for them, at least give them some defense.
Yep, absolutely. Check with AJ. AJ said he support.
Yeah, I will.
For a freight guard.
So Jeree, going back to your situation, I think like Sharanda on the sales side hit some real key stuff that I think is important when you move to the next level. Because I don't think your issue is CDLP. I think that's a sales issue, and I think Sharanda, because she been in your place, the stuff that she said to do, those are the things, right? Loading, putting more people in your pipeline, that's one. Because you don't pay attention to that when you got way more people in your pipeline. Putting people's phone number in your phone because your phone people call you back 3 months later, you don't answer the phone because it's some weird number from somewhere, you don't know what it is. And you know, they leave you a voicemail, and it's way more, it's a lot more productive and wowing, like Sharanda said. If when they call you, you see their name and you answer the phone and say, hey, Jeree, And they're like, I ain't talked to this lady in 3 months and she knew who I was calling her. How did she know that? That means that you took that conversation serious. So I think that those are very important topics there, you know, and then educating yourself, like you said you were doing, so that when you do get into that tongue-tied conversation with that owner or the owner's spouse or whatever, you understand what you're talking about when you're doing it. Those are all like really great sales tips to move you to that next, right? To that next level as it comes to calling on these companies and understanding that, you know, when you pick up the phone and call them, you have to keep calling, and don't be a one-trick pony, right? And we hear that in the athletic world all the time. Like, that was really important that Sharanda said that, because we all do that in sales. Like, and particularly, we've had this conversation sideline in on these calls right here, where you got somebody who they make calls to companies, they don't do nothing else. You don't send text messages, you don't send PDFs, you don't email, all you do is call. If all you're doing is calling, you're only gonna get one kind of prospect. You see what I mean? You got to reach out to people other ways, because when you're a one-trick pony, it's like, right, you get in that boxing ring and you got a really good jab, and that's what they keep talking about. You're a really good jabber. But guess what? The person that's gonna fight you three fights down, they come into every fight and they're watching your jab and they learn how to defend against your jab and they beat you, because that's all you do. You can't switch it up. You can't do round 4 different than round 3, because all you know how to do is throw a good jab. So you got to know that when you call, and they don't get through, what else is in my bag? Because they're not answering their phone. So what else can I send an email, right? Can I send a text? Can I swing by there? There's other things that you can do that might get their attention, because a call, they may not like the phone, right? They may not, you may be emailing and not getting through. Well, what if they don't look at their emails? What if they only look at emails that's super important? What if your emails are going to spam, but you never call again? You call once, and then you email, and they never see it. You think you prospecting, but you're not, because they're not saying anything. That's why you got to have other tricks in your bag and be like, no, I've got different prospects that think differently for different size companies, right? They're operating their businesses differently. What do I all have in my bag? And you have to keep track of that. That's why it's important to write down what you're doing. So if I call Sharanda 6 times, and I go look at the last 6 phone calls, what did I do? Did I leave her a voicemail every time? Did I not leave her a voicemail every time? Did I send the email behind the phone call? Did I not send the email before the phone call? Did I call her on Mondays at 2 o'clock every time? Maybe I should call Friday at 3 o'clock. Maybe I should call Wednesday at 4 o'clock. You have to pay attention to how you prospecting each person, so you know to change it up, and you'll realize, like, oh wow, so it wasn't that they was ignoring me. It was I was calling them at the wrong time, or I was emailing instead of calling, or I was picking the wrong day of the week. And that's how you figure that out, by shaking it up. So sometimes just shake that bag of prospecting tricks and reach your hand in there and do a different one. That's all. Sometimes that'll work out for you better when you're prospecting, because it's just one of those things.
And another thing, and this is I'm telling our secrets on the mastermind. It's a lot of people. I think it changed the game for a lot of the accountability partners when they incorporated a free CRM and gave them the ability to know that people were checking their emails. Oh my God, you would think that they got $100 at every time they saw a click. But it just built their confidence to know that they were opening their email, because when you're sending out emails and don't know whether or not, like you say, going to spam, they ain't open them. You know, you could be spinning your wheels, but to see that somebody clicked, made a huge difference in a lot of, I think, of the accountability people, their confidence. So yeah, that was, and also, I was gonna say something about, oh yeah, and Dunbar, as you said, because Jeree, if you be a one horse pony, or whatever the little saying is.
One trick pony.
Yeah, that the shark, like John and George and Bob and all those sharks out there, they coming for you. You be open the door, and John them gonna go in and close it if you don't call them back. I'm just saying, okay?
Man, that is so important. Because
I'm
that's
just
what you're
saying,
gonna
these
set 'em
sharks
up.
out here,
Yeah,
they
you
gonna call the right day. and
put
you
it
be
on the
like,
grill, saute it, and you're gonna be like, I gotta go use the bathroom. You're gonna come back. That's a wrap. You leave your meat on the grill in Florida and watch what happens. Somebody in that backyard gonna eat your food. So that no, and that's how you split test. And remember, we doing B2B. And a lot of times we don't understand. We so used to B2C, like on the networking side, when you're talking to other people, that's just a person. I'm bringing you into this company to sell. That's not the same thing as B2B. When you're doing B2B, you're talking to you're prospecting a business. You got to do split testing. If you sending emails out and you got a free CRM, like what Sharon is talking about, you can look at what emails get opened more and start sending more of those emails.
And
Like
I
when
get
you
HubSpot, I just have to go in and just connect my email to,
oh, Jesus.
sorry. 4 different emails. So I had to spend a day on just figuring that out.
Oh, Lord,
Sorry.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
it.
Hicks got his hands up.
Oh, Hicks, what's up, Jim?
Yeah, just wanted to take Sharonda's suggestion to a different level. Not only do you want to put in the person's name, but you also want to put the name of the company that they represent so that you know that when Jim calls, it's not just Jim, it's Jim with ABC Trucking Company.
I
So
actually do that, Mr.
gives
Hicks,
you a
believe
little
it or
more
not.
indication that you're talking to the right Jim and not just any Jim. Just
I actually do that, Mr. Hicks.
You do
I
that?
do that, Mr. Hicks. I do. So I would put, so I put Jim. A lot of times I put Jim and maybe the company or Jim, the DOT number, and maybe I don't have the last name, so my last name would be the company name. But I do all that. I
Okay.
absolutely do. I absolutely do that. I sure do. I don't know. I'm anal like that. I just gotta know. Gotta know who calling me. So.
Okay,
And
well,
no disrespect to nothing that
I just
anybody
wanted
said
to
on
add
here.
to it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead. You saying something?
Yeah, like I said, I just wanted to add to that because you say you've put it into your schedule, and I just wanted to have people understand that you need the other piece of information. And now Sharonda says that is what she does. So don't forget that, because again, that will really help you help them, because once they know that you know their name, that's gonna go through a lot of water right there by the fact that you're personal and you remembered them. So that's all I wanted to bring up.
That's a golden nugget. So I hope, there was a lot of things said, and no disrespect to what I said or John or that. That is the nugget. Like that's one of those small tweaks that will give you a big, big, big return. Just something as simple as when you talk to a prospect, put them in your phone. The same way one of my turnarounds in my business was when I started using personalization in my emails. When my emails started going out and saying, Sharanda have you, right? Jeree have you, not just an email that just randomly went out to people. Because if I feel like I'm just being emailed along with 30 other people, I'm going to pay less attention to it. When it says my name, I feel like you know me, you're talking to me. So when I personalize my emails, they get open more, right? Things get clicked more inside the email because people like to feel important. So that is like a major, major, major nugget. Put their name in your phone, put their company in your phone. So when they call back, you can answer the phone respective, hey, hey, how you doing, John? Right? Or is this John with AC Enterprises? And John's like, yeah. Hey man, I'm glad you gave me a call. I was just thinking about you. That person is like, man, right? You're right. So it's like, that's a completely different way to answer the phone than, hey, this is Robert Dunbar from Legal Shield Commercial Drivers Division. How can I help you? Or whatever the name of your company is, right? That's professional, but it's not personal, right? It's one thing to have your signature in the email. It's another thing to address that person in the email. Two different things. So that is a huge, huge, huge nugget, guys. That is a huge nugget. So I think that was worth the extra 30 minutes. I'm justified. CDLP call coming up. Training coming up, guys. Is already. I think it's posted on the page. Sharanda, you sent it to me the other day. I know if I didn't put it on the page, but I'll be drawing up a backdrop and putting it back there. And I also posted the CDLP video as well.
Yeah, I hope everybody's Thankful to corporate, they heard your cry. So they updated the video, which is a nice video. So yeah.
I love that it's a real video.
Yeah.
That it's like a real life video, not like a
Not
like
animated.
a kind of a yeah, like an animated or yeah, that's the right word, animated. I'm glad that it's a real video. I think that definitely
You know
holds
you like the
professional.
John with Legal Shield. Y'all remember that video?
I do.
The John with Legal Shield.
Yeah.
At the briefing.
Remember the videos with the guy with the garbage can calling a law firm because a bunch of garbage cans and cartoons used to have. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely like the real videos. I think in that space, that audience needs to see those real videos like that. So I think corporate did a fantastic job on that. So guys, Thursday night, Sharanda has an accountability call. Thank you, John, as always, for being here with us. Sharanda, thank you everybody who allowed us to put you in the spotlight with us and talk to you and bother you and mess with you and pick at you and all that kind of stuff, because that helps everybody else that didn't ask the question but needed to know the answer. So we appreciate you guys as always.
And don't be afraid. Like I just sent out a message. Don't be afraid to connect with a field trainer or a trainer specializing in space. Even just to have some time to ask questions. It just hurts my heart for an individual to be on the call for 2-3 years and have questions. I mean, really, it costs you nothing to connect, and that's what we're here for. We can help you, but you have to reach out.
Absolutely. All right. Any last words, John?
Nope, I'm gonna say goodnight.
Good night, guys. We look forward to seeing you guys all next week. Appreciate you all for hanging with us for 90 minutes tonight. Talk to you guys all soon.
Hey, good night, everybody.
Great coaching.
Night.
Night.
Hey.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
For 5 minutes.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much, trainers.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for making me co-host for 5 minutes, Robert.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys all.